Today, 20 years ago, I defended my PhD. And I thought that was the hard part. How naive. The real learning started after. Through long nights at observatories, mistakes I had to own, students I tried to supervise, and lessons I tried to learn. And moments when suddenly everything made sense. So today I try to share with you 20 things that I learned along my journey. The first one is, don't take yourself too seriously. At the end of the day, astronomy is mostly inconsequential. As a friend of mine says, in 10 years, nobody will remember. Whatever mistake, as bad it may sound, in 10 years, nobody will remember it. So, calm down, relax, and enjoy your journey. Lesson number 2, take yourself seriously. At the end of the day, you're doing something that you're passionate about, you're interested about. So take it seriously, show up, do your homeworks, and make sure that you do it properly. Again, as someone told me when I was starting, be professional. Third, keep your mind open. You may end up watching a seminar about a topic which has nothing to do with your field of research. Go there, get ready. You may hear about some technique which you can apply to your research field. So everything becomes handy. Lesson number 4, don't keep your mind too open. There is a balance between being ready to learn new things, new approaches, new theories, and be ready to accept crazy things. If someone tells that a comet is a spaceship, just disregard it. You're not supposed to fly with anything. I'll try to stop doing this do and don't. But let's move to the fifth. The fifth lesson is show up in time, which can be a grave problem if you're living in a Latin country. I was born in Italy, I work in Spain, I've been working in Chile and Brazil. Showing up in time is not really the forte of any of these countries. But when there's a meeting, when there is a lecture, show up in time. It shows respect for the speaker, respect for the others. I think it's an important part of a healthy research environment. Sixth, be reliable. If someone asks you to do something, do it. If you agree that you will do something, do it. And if you agree to do something in a given time frame, respect that time frame. You will learn sooner rather than later that the time frame that you tend to set up is badly wrong. Accept it. We're going to speak about it later. But make sure that people know that if they ask for something from you, they can get it in a reasonable time frame. Seventh, be helpful. If someone asks you for a favor, do it. No need of doubt this. Don't do it because you expect something in return. Do it if you honestly think that this is the right thing to do. Don't expect anything in return because often you will not get it. Being generous is one of those things that you will never regret. Eighth, own your own mistakes. If you make a mistake, don't try to blame it on someone else. Make it your own. Accept it, understand it, learn from it. It's always an opportunity of growth. Don't make a drama of it, but don't dismiss it either. Mistakes are mistakes. You accept it. As I said, in 10 years nobody is going to remember. Keep going, learn your lesson. Lesson number 9, read. Every morning while having breakfast I check AstroPH. Nowadays an AI agent could do it, and probably at some point I may delegate an AI agent to do it. but there is a wide picture that you can get by checking AstroPH every morning, which is the feeling of where the community is moving. And you can also keep an eye on friends or acquaintances, what people are up to these days, so that if you meet someone in a conference, you already know that that person is still active in that field or another field. Reading can be frustrating at times, because obviously there is always more papers to be read than papers you will read, which is this joke of all of us having folders with PDF files which we will never read. And it's fine. Plus, sometimes you will have the extra frustration due to the fact that you will find out that someone is already doing the research you wanted to do. And it's fine. Lesson number 10. If you are the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. This is something that people say a lot, perhaps too much, but this is true. If you surround yourself from people who do not add to your knowledge, then you need to look for someone from whom you can learn. You learn very little by being isolated or by being with people who know less than you. You learn by being challenged. You learn by having someone who's better than you at least one aspect of the job. So go out there and look for someone from whom you can learn. Lesson 11. You are rarely the smartest person in the room. This is not completely at odds with the previous lesson. The thing is, depending on what aspect, you may or may not be the smartest person. For example, you may be the best person at understanding stellar atmospheres, but you may not be the best person to understand databases, or you may not be the best person to understand machine learning algorithms. These days, to be able to combine these different aspects, you may be the smartest person in the room in one aspect, but not necessarily in all the others. So in that case, it may be great to have smart people across different domains. Lesson number 12, treat everyone equally. I've met Nobel Prize winners, presidents of the International Astronomical Union, undergraduate students, and I've tried to treat everybody the same way. Never be ashamed of being kind and never be ashamed of being honest. Always try to be gentle with the person you have in front, no matter who the other person is. And in a conversation, if you say, hello, how are you? Mean it. This may sound like small talk, but a honest how are you is no small talk. It's your honest interest in the other person. Lesson 13. Whatever. Don't embarrass yourself when you are starstruck. It happens to all of us. We meet someone whose name we've been knowing forever from papers, articles, books, and we finally meet this person. And famously, I told a famous researcher in my field the first time I met her, and went like, "You're famous. Don't do it, all right? Don't. I think I've learned my lesson and I'm passing on to you." It's fine to be starstruck. It happens. And it has happened to me several times since then. Especially since back then I was still a PhD student. At some point you develop a coolness. You may say a poker face. And you learn, when you hear a big name, you go like, "Nice to meet you. I've read your papers," or I know you from whatever. And intimately you can be screaming, "I am having breakfast with this person, and the things that this person discovered, I've studied them when I was an undergraduate student, and now I'm having breakfast with this person." scream inside. And remember that normally the people with whom you are starstruck normally are the most humble. So don't embarrass yourself and don't embarrass them. And try to have a real conversation, because normally they are people made of flesh and blood like you and I. Lesson 14. Science is a team sport. Especially in the past 20 years, papers with 1 or 2 authors are very rare. 3, 4 authors or more are the norm. What does it mean? It means that normally we're supposed to be in a group to make something happen. So make sure that you surround yourself of people that you like to work with, people you like to spend your time with, people who enrich your intellectual environment, and most importantly, people with whom you share values which go beyond the intellectual value that they provide to that specific research, but also a set of values of honesty, integrity, that ultimately are the basis of the relation between two people. More specific to astronomy, lesson 15, all photons are created equal. All right, you may argue that some photons may come from scatter, some photons can come from Bremsstrahlung. Yes, that is true. But what I mean by all photons are created equal is that when you go to get some data and when you have some data, it doesn't matter where the photon was coming from, you're supposed to care about the photon in the same way. So for any observation, I will always have the same care and the same interest and the same drive, because at the end of the day, this is all part of my intellectual effort. Lesson 16. Love all telescopes, no matter the size. In these 20 years, I've been observing with 40 centimeter telescopes and a 10.4 meter telescope, and everything in between. And I've cared for every single one of these telescopes. And these telescopes are what make you a scientist. These are your tools. Care for them. Take care of them. Cherish them. They are not only a tool, they are your tool. So care for them. Each telescope has its own forte. So there's no real telescope better than another. All telescopes are good at something. So in this respect, care for all of them, regardless of their size. Lesson number 17. The first night of an observing run is the worst thing you can possibly have. I stopped counting after 500 nights of observation, so I think I know what I'm talking about when I speak about observations. And the first night of an observing run is always the toughest. You go up there and at 2 in the morning you're already done. I've been lucky to have very good relationship with telescope operators who normally would take care of me. But in some occasions when I didn't have a telescope operator, or some nights where really I couldn't take a break, those nights were difficult. And at some point you try to learn a few tricks, but no matter what, those nights are always tough. The second toughest is the second night. Lesson 18. Most of the time you have no idea if you're doing good science. The thing is, you can start with a great idea and you start digging, only to find out that someone has done it before, or to find out that there are some technological issues which make your project impossible, or when you're lucky, hard. In most cases, your science will be okay, and so you will do something which will have a lifetime of 5 years, 10 years. Most of the papers we do not survive longer than 10 years. And it's fine. At some point they become obsolete because there's new observations, new analysis, new ways to understand the physics, and therefore at some point your science will become obsolete. And life goes on. Lesson 19. Research is made of long periods of confusion with some brief moments of clarity. There's a beautiful sentence by Albert Einstein which goes, if we knew what we were doing, it wouldn't be called research. And this embodies the whole idea of research. You start doing random things around an idea that you had. So you start browsing the data, you try to analyze the data, you go through the data, you dismount the data, you put them back together. As a friend of mine said, if you torture the data long enough, they will confess to anything. The important thing is through this process of digging and confusion, because you may have a faint idea, every now and then you have a moment of clarity. The moment where all the pieces of the puzzle fit together. That moment is the eureka moment. That is a beautiful moment. And speaking of moments, the 20th and last lesson. The haha moment when someone understands something is the reason worth living. I was lecturing a course on astronomical instrumentation, and one of the students did not understand one concept, whereas the others apparently they did. To me, it was extremely frustrating. 2 lectures later, I was explaining something a little bit more advanced, and all of a sudden it clicked for the person who didn't understand the same concept 2 lectures before. And they went, aha! I had to stop the class and I told them, this aha is the reason why I do this job. This makes my life worth living. And it's hard to condense everything that I've learned in those 20 years in a YouTube video. But there is an extra thing that I've learned, and that is nothing of this happens alone. Nothing happens within a controlled lab. The people you meet, the people you work with, the people who teach you, the people you teach, the people who challenge you, those people make it worth it. All of this to say that if you have been part of my journey, whether in real life or here, thank you very much.